Okay, so as you can hear, I'm playing some white noise in the background. White noise basically means noise that's being played at almost every frequency. So what I want to do is to test the noise cancelling capabilities of all the headphones that I have in front of me from the top brands, and most notably the Sonos ACE, to see how it performs. So first off, I'm going to start off with the Airpods Pro, and all of these are on noise cancelling mode. Once I put them on, everything is in position. You will be able to hear what I'm hearing because of these mics that are in my ear. I have one of them on each side, so I'm going to position them properly so that you can hear. The moment I put on the headphones, I'm going to cut over from an external recorder that's recording from these mics. When you're hearing my voice now, it is actually recording using the mic that's connected to my camera right here. So first off, the Apple AirPods Max, and for each of them I'm going to keep quiet for about 30 seconds or so that you can hear how much of this sound is going to cut off. Now, as baseline, this is how it sounds like. Okay, so that concludes the test. The Sonos, it does very well. The moment I put it on, I can tell that the noise is significantly cut, but it could be the hubris of getting a new device. I would say that maybe the QC45 is still doing slightly better, but you know what? Let's put the sound recorded into software so that we can see the exact waveform and how much of the sound is filtering out. So in the time that it took for me to make that video of all the testing using the in-ear microphone, between then and now, I managed to find time to get a haircut and change the color of my hair. Hopefully it's looking all right. So I don't have a lot of time. In about 14 hours time, I'm supposed to take off on a flight, and guess what I'll be bringing with me? Basically, from the test, you probably can tell that this guy does very well in the noise cancelling department. So I've done the test. I did all the recording of the white noise after I put on the headphones from the Airpods Max to the Sony WH1000-XM5 and the Bose QC Ultra, and finally the Sonos ACE, and I have run it through a spectrum analysis. I'm going to put up some of the charts here. It's going to be a little bit hard to read, but basically on the leftmost, you will see that the baseline is what the white noise is, and at 50 Hz it's coming in at minus 12 dB, at 260 Hz or so it's coming in at minus 19 dB, 1 kHz minus 48 dB, and 4 kHz minus 70 dB. Now why is it all in minus dB? That's the way sound is being measured, the sound pressure levels, and the higher, the closer to zero it is in the negative range, the louder it's going to be. So I did the same spectrum analysis for the Apple, Sony, Bose, as well as the Sonos ACE, and they all cut out different amount of sound or rather the white noise, at different frequencies. Now, like I said, this chart is going to be a little bit hard to read, but you can see from the 4 charts that noise cancelling is removing quite a bit of the white noise. So the more purple parts you have in under the bar, under the line, the noisier it is, because that's how loud the white noise is. So after applying active noise cancelling, all the headphones would have brought it down significantly, but how much and at which frequency is what differs. Now, I have put it into a chart. Not even sure if this is easier to read, but this is the noise levels at the various different frequency. Now, sound is never a discrete measurement at a discrete frequency, but I've just chosen 50 Hertz, 260 Hertz, 1 kHz, 4 kHz, for the purpose of doing this video, right? And at the baseline, you can see in white, those are the sound levels. So they are all in the negative range, but the closer it is to 0, the louder it is. So baseline is pretty high, right? And just for example, at 50 Hertz, baseline is at minus 12 dB. Now the AirPods Max actually brings that noise level down to minus 21. The Sony will bring it down to minus 26, and same with the Bose QC Ultra, and the Sonos ACE is going to bring it down to minus 31 dB. So that's quite a bit. Now, and you can look at this chart, pause the video if you have to, and you can study the numbers. Basically, at different frequency, the different headphones are going to bring it down by different levels. By how much? All right, basically, I summarize into the next chart for you, which is here. This is the noise reduction power. At various frequency, how much is each of these headphone bringing the levels down? So I'll take the Sonos ACE, which is the line in red text here, right? So the Sonos at 50 Hertz, it would have brought down 19 dB, right? 19 dB at 50 Hertz. So that actually does quite a bit over the rest. Now, I'm not saying that this is all true ANC, active noise cancelling, because the passive noise cancelling, the padding and the design of the whole ear cup, it actually helps to bring that noise level down too. So it doesn't mean that ANC was purposefully reducing 50 Hertz coming in and filtering to your ears. It could be a function of the ear cups as well, right? But all in all, the noise cancelling ability of the Sonos at 50 Hertz is able to cut out 19 dB of sound. At 260 Hertz, it's able to cut out 29 dB of sound, which actually, if you compare with the Apple, the Sony, and the Bose, it actually doesn't do that well at 260 Hertz, and that is where a lot of vocal frequency will actually reside around. So maybe some of you will be thinking that, hey, white noise is not a fair test. It's not a fair test of how good active noise cancelling or how good noise cancelling is at all, right? Because it really depends on the use case. If I'm going on a flight tomorrow, and maybe there aren't so many people talking around me, but mostly it will be the engine drone, then I don't really care about 260 Hertz noise reduction. I care about the lower frequency at 50 Hertz or things that are droning and going on and on, which brings us to 1 kHz. So at 1 kHz, you'll see that again, the Sonos would have trumped the whole game by bringing in the most amount of noise reduction at 1 kHz. And at 4 kHz, it brings down the volume by about 14 dB, 4 kHz, right? Which is similar to everything else. Now, I have a total column there. Now, this is hardly the best test, but this is probably something that I can share with you. So Apple would have brought total noise reduction down across all these bands, and it's not cumulative. Basically, not a very good test, but it would have brought the whole noise level down at the different frequencies by 69 dB. So just a heads up, this is not a tally. It doesn't mean that the phones here are able to bring down 69, 75, 80, 87 dB. It is just me adding up the score to give you a cumulative idea of how well these are performing. The Sony would have brought everything down by a function of 75 dB, the Bose 80 dB, and the Sonos ACE would have come in the best, reducing 87 dB across all the different ranges. Again, reminder, this is not cumulative. It is just a score for me to illustrate how well the Sonos ACE is performing when it comes to noise reduction. And if these charts are still too difficult to read, I am so sorry. This is all numbers and there are about 4 headphones to deal with. Let me plot them out into a line chart for you so that it could be a little bit easier. Now, if you look at this line chart, the white line is the baseline, and that is the noise level at which the white noise is playing at without any noise cancelling help from any of these headphones, right? The green line there is Apple. So you can see that Apple actually doesn't do very well at the 50 Hz and doesn't do very well at the 1 kHz. But amazingly, at 260 Hz, it does cut out the most noise. All of these headphones are going to do equally well at about 4 kHz range, but you know, noise cancelling and how it works is that they seldom do anything when it comes to active noise cancelling at the 4 kHz onwards range, right? If you go on to the Sony WH1000-XM5, that's the blue line, and the blue line you will be able to see that it does is quite middle of the road. Okay, nothing too fancy. It is not the most amazing, and there's an orange line right behind the blue line, right? And at 50 Hz, 260 Hz is exactly the same, and that is for the Bose QC Ultra. Where the QC Ultra pulls ahead of the Sony is actually at the 1 kHz range, where you can see that it reduces the noise significantly more than the Sony. And the red line will be the Sonos ACE. Now, Sonos ACE does very, very well at 50 Hz, cutting out the most amount of sound, and at 1 kHz, again, cutting out the most amount of sound or noise at 1 kHz. And 260 Hz is where it doesn't fare as well, but the gap is a little bit smaller. And I would say that that means that in terms of cutting out vocals and voices, it probably won't work as well as the Sony and the Bose, much less the Apple, which really shines in that aspect. At the 4 kHz range, all of these are going to be quite similar within 1 dB reduction of each other. So I hope this quick video has been useful to you. I really don't have time. I have not packed for the trip. I have a little bit of work to clear, and I really want to share this with you because I promised you in the last video 4 days ago that I was going to share this video with you. So here it is. Those who have subscribed and got notified of this video, thank you for subscribing and welcome back to the channel. I hope you stay around because there are many other things that I want to talk about the Sonos ACE, including the transparency mode, and I do want to run some demos with this as well as when it gets paired up to a Sonos Beam. And there are things that I have discovered about the Sonos ACE that I have not told anyone about, and Sonos has not really been upfront. It's not all a bad thing. Some of them are beautiful features that Sonos did not explicitly advertise. So if that video is ready, I'll link it up here and you can check it out. Meanwhile, you can check out my announcement video or any other video that I have made about the Sonos ACE announcement, and I will see you in one of those videos.